Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Okay. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam's second canto, chapter 3, Pure Devotional Service. The verse is number 17. Ayur harati vai pumsam udyan astang chayanasau tasyarte yatshano nita uttama shloka vartaya. Ayur harati vai pumsam udyan astang chayanasau tasyarte yatshano nita uttama shloka vartaya. I'll say the word for word, and if you like you can repeat. Ayu, duration of life. Harati, decreases. Vai, certainly. Pumsam, of the people. Udyan, rising. Astam, setting. Cha, also. Yan, moving. Asau, the sun. Tasya, of one who glorifies the Lord. Rite, except. Yet, by whom. Shana, time. Nita, utilized. Uttama Shloka, the all-good personality of Godhead. Vartaya, in the topics of. The translation is, both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. Purport. This verse indirectly confirms the greater importance of utilizing the human form of life to realize our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord by acceleration of devotional service. Time and tide wait for no man, so the time indicated by the sunrise and the sunset will be uselessly wasted if such time is not properly utilized for realizing identification of spiritual values. Even a fraction of the duration of life wasted cannot be compensated by any amount of gold. Human life is simply awarded to a living entity, jiva, so that he can realize his spiritual identity and his permanent source of happiness. A living being, especially the human being, is seeking happiness because happiness is the natural situation of the living entity. But he is vainly seeking happiness in the material atmosphere. A living being is constitutionally a spiritual spark of the complete whole. And his happiness can be perfectly perceived in spiritual activities. The Lord is the complete spirit whole, and his name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, and personality are all identical with him. Once a person comes into contact with any one of the above-mentioned energies of the Lord through the proper channel of devotional service, the door to perfection is immediately opened. In the Bhagavad Gita 240, the Lord has explained such contact in the following words. Quote, endeavors in devotional service are never baffled, nor is there failure. A slight beginning of such activities is sufficient even to deliver a person from the great ocean of material fears. As a highly potent drug injected intravenously acts at once on the whole body, the transcendental topics of the Lord injected through the ear of the pure devotee of the Lord can act efficiently. Oral realization of the transcendental messages implies total realization, just as fructification of one part of a tree implies fructification of all other parts. This realization for a moment in the association of pure devotees like Shukadeva Goswami prepares one's complete life for eternity. And thus the sun fails to rob the pure devotee of his duration of life, inasmuch as he is constantly busy in the devotional service of the Lord, purifying his existence. Death is a symptom of the material infection of the eternal living being. Only due to material infection is the eternal living entity subjected to the law of birth, death, old age, and disease. The materialistic way of pious activities like charity is recommended in the Smriti Shastras, as quoted by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Money given in charity to a suitable person is guaranteed bank balance in the next life. Such charity is recommended to be given to a Brahmana. If the money is given in charity to a non-Brahmana without Brahminical qualification, the money is returned in the next life in the same proportion. If it is given in charity to a half-educated Brahmana, even then the money is returned double. If the money is given in charity to a learned and fully qualified Brahmana, the money is returned 100 and 1,000 times. And if the money is given to a Veda Paraga, one who has factually realized the path of the Vedas, it is returned by unlimited multiplication. The ultimate end of Vedic knowledge is realization of the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedaishya sarver ahameva vedya. There is a guarantee of money being returned if given in charity, regardless of the proportion. Similarly, a moment passed in the association of a pure devotee by hearing and chanting the transcendental messages of the Lord is a perfect guarantee for eternal life, for returning home back to Godhead. Madhama gatva punar janmana vidyate. In other words, a devotee of the Lord is guaranteed eternal life. A devotee's old age or disease in the present life is but an impetus to such guaranteed eternal life. Ayur harati vai pumsam udyan astam chayanasau tasyarte yatshano nita uttama shloka vartaya. So the first word is Ayu, and Patanjali Muni in his Yoga Sutras says that along with our birth we have an Ayu, a duration of life that is fixed. And Harati means take away, like Hari, one who takes away. Krishna takes away the obstacles to pure devotional service. Ayu vai, certainly, pumsam. Of all the people of the world, their ayu is being reduced. How? Udyan astam. Udyan astam means by rising and setting of. Udyan astam cha means by both rising and setting. Yan asau, the movement of the sun. Like yach chakshur esha savita sakala grahanam raja samasta suramuti rashesha teja. Yes jagneya brahmati sambrita kala chakra govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. In the Brahma Samhita, Brahma mentions how the sun is the eye of the Lord in this universe. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, the time I am, the destroyer of the worlds. Then, tasya, of one who glorifies the Lord, rate, tasyarte, means except, there's an exception. Tasyarte, the exception is that person who's utilizing his or her time to glorify the Lord, yet by whom shana, time, is used like this, How? Uttama shloka vartaya. Vartaya means in topics of. And Uttama shloka means personality of Godhead who's glorified by the best of verses. So both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada opens by mentioning that human life has a specific purpose, which is to try to cross over the material ocean. Labham sudurlabham idam bahusam bhavante. That it's very rarely achieved. Manusham artanam anityam apihadira means that even though it's very rarely achieved, there's a great opportunity, because even though it's rarely achieved and it's temporary, you have an ayu, it's going to run out sometime, and you don't know what you're going to get next. Because you have the opportunity during that time to take what's anityam and turn it into nityam. That temporary lifetime can be traded in for something that's eternal. And Krishna, that one's from the Avaduta Brahmana. But Krishna says, Nrideha madhyam sulabham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam gunakarnanaram. Karnadar, that the human body is also like a boat that can take one across the material ocean. So, if one realizes this, then it's a impetus to use as much of a portion of the human life as possible to understand Krishna. In the story of the Prachetas, they spend 10,000 years underwater in doing tapasya, meditation. And that's at a time when people live for 100,000 years. And Prabhupada comments there that if you can use at least 10% of your ayu for God realization, then you can make a success of this lifetime. And here Prabhupada also says that, and luckily there's underlines, some studious person has been reading this book and underlying things. A living being, especially a human being, is seeking happiness because the happiness is the natural situation of a living entity. If we look towards Krishna in this lifetime, even though we're still within the material modes of nature, if we're utilizing our time to glorify Krishna, then we won't be affected by the external circumstances. It's mentioned, Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita that such a person is never disturbed or concerned with the external goings-on of the senses and their objects in the material world. And Prabhupada also quotes Bhagavad Gita 240, where he says, Neha bikarmanashosti pratyavayana vidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. That if one can utilize even a little bit of time for Krishna consciousness, then it protects one from the danger of completely misusing the human form of life and gliding back down again into the lower species. That's the greatest fear, but that can be mitigated by even a little bit of endeavor in Krishna consciousness. And then Prabhupada gives this metaphor of a drug. And the implication here is, if even a little bit can save one from the most dangerous type of fear, why not give more? Why not increase the ratio of the time one uses in this world, use it for Krishna. And then Prabhupada gives this point about transcendental topics. Krishna Katha is like an injection. In anesthesia, they're given an injection, and once you take it, once the drug is induced into the brain, then you go into a state of deep sleep, anesthetized. And in a similar way, he says, if you hear from devotees about Krishna, then it acts just as effectively as such a drug. And that this drug you take by hearing, you take it through the ear, and then it'll have an effect on our whole body, mind, and life. And then finally, in the thread of the verse and Prabhupada's purport, he's talking about using your life as a contribution to Krishna. And he gives an example from the Niti Shastra about quantities that you get back from giving in charity. And this should give a sense of Shreyas. There's Shreyas and Preyas. Preyas means I get some immediate sense gratification, but then have to suffer later. And Shreyas means it's for my ultimate good. And if we can stay in the context of this human life being temporary, but it has the greatest opportunity, and we turn our activities to Shreyas, then the return is unlimited, and that's not a bad return, to have an unlimited result. Most people only get a meager 2% for a fixed deposit, or maybe even 5%. So that's not very much compared to unlimited return. And in another verse in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahma says, Jivanti san mukharitam bhavadiya vartam. If all you do in your life is somehow or other stay alive, Jivanti san mukharitam bhavadiya vartam, and all you do with your life is live for the next time you can hear in the association of devotees, then your life is a success. Nothing else needed. That's Brahma's opinion, because the process is so potent. He goes on to say, Stane stita shrutigatam tanavan monobhir. Therefore, you should use your body, mind, tanuvan, your words, to glorify this process of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Tanu means you can place your head on the ground in front of Srimad Bhagavatam or in front of the words of Srimad Bhagavatam. Van, you can use your voice to glorify the Srimad Bhagavatam. Manobhir, you can think of the process of Krishna consciousness and glorify it in your mind. If you worship Srimad Bhagavatam in the process of hearing, then stane stita, you don't have to go anywhere else. No external changes are necessary, because it will be systemic from within one's heart. The transformation will take place, and then all other arrangements follow. And finally he says, Ipraiso jitta jito, that Krishna, who's ajita, can be conquered by this process of hearing. So we thought of this verse this morning, because as soon as we stepped out for the morning walk, you could see the sun was coming up. And Akshobhya Tirtha Prabhu slapped a microphone on my collar and said, okay, everything's being recorded. And I was thinking, yeah, everything's being recorded in this life. Everything we do. And as Prabhupada mentions here, that you can't buy back even a short amount of time. So whatever way we can organize our lives so that we're constantly in touch with the transcendental vibration is such an unlimitedly valuable investment. And sometimes devotees feel discouraged because it seems as if we're swimming upstream. The senses are so strong. The family I was born in wants to eat onion and garlic, despite the fact that we want to eat prasadam. Whatever obstacles may be there, they can be overcome by the process of Krishna Katha because it's all powerful. And Prabhupada gives this very optimistic view of spiritual life. Even if you do a little bit, it'll be successful. And I like that kind of encouragement because oftentimes it seems overwhelming to come to the next step in anything, but to speak of devotional service or chanting Hare Krishna. But Prabhupada gives this directive that even the tiniest investment, that could be enough encouragement to keep going. And then by the power of that hearing and chanting, one will feel the effects for oneself and want to do more. And it becomes more and more spontaneous. And now let's take a few reflections from anybody who wants to mention anything or ask a question. We have another microphone here too that we can pass around.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. So just this morning when we set out for the walk, and I was wondering, what is the message that invariably or inadvertently that I needed the most in your association, Guru Ma's association. And I recalled, some emails that I've sent you where I've talked about the body sort of not being strong enough or giving away, and specifically my gut health and all of that. And I was like, this verse, and the reason perhaps it just happens, Krishna's arrangement, that you've mentioned this to alleviate the ignorance in my mind about Ayu and good health. So the other reflection I had was like, the imperturbable nature of doing Krishna Katha makes us impervious to all the suffering that we have in the world. And so I just really wanted to express my gratitude for reminding me of my name as well as your presence here just does it all. Thank you, Guru Maha. Thank you.
Yeah, think about the mystical nature of today's morning walk. When we went out walking today, we brought some books with us. First person we met was a Bengali fellow walking his dog, who's named Bean. And do you remember his name? The first guy? Siddharth. His name was Siddharth. Siddharth was walking his dog in the park, and he was just friendly. And we gave him prasadam, we gave him a sticker, we also gave him a book. Found out he was Bengali, so we gave him a Bengali book, right? No. Oh, we gave him Hindi because we didn't have Bengali. English. He spoke English. Anyway, he gave $50 right there from his phone. What?
2,000 rupees.
$50. No?
Yes.
$20? 45.
Yeah,
25, okay. And so, anyway, whatever it was, it doesn't matter. He was friendly and he really appreciated it. And then a little while later, we met this Sikh couple who said that Devavrata had been in the park the day before, and he left his counter beads on the bench. They were still there. And everyone we met this morning felt as if it was Krishna's arrangement. But the main reason that we felt that is because we prepared ourselves before we went out. And I heard Prabhupada speaking this morning in a lecture about how Krishna's always ready to assist us. In fact, he said, in fact, you can see already he's taking care of us. Nityo nityanam chaitanas chaitananam. He's taking care of every living entity abundantly. He said, what to speak of someone who surrenders unto him? He said, it's not that Krishna withholds anything from anyone, but if we follow his instructions,